guys? It's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 78, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing today, man?
Doing excellent. Happy to be back talking fights with you, Phil. How you doing?
Oh, doing well. A lot to discuss today. So here's what's on tap, folks. First, we're going to jump into our UFC on Vegas 7 recap and review. After that, it's UFC Vegas 8 preview and picks. After that, my favorite section, listener questions and more. So Fight Geek, rare week this week where we both picked Frankie Edgar. He was the underdog, and we both got it right. So Frankie got a close decision against Pedro Munoz, and a lot of people were feeling very controversial about it, saying that they felt that Pedro won. So I wanted to ask you, how did you score that fight?
Yeah, it was a very close fight. I did pick Frankie, but with that said, I did score it 4-1 for Pedro the night of the fight.
4-1? Whoa!
Yeah, I think the only round I gave Frankie on fight night was round 2. I know that's controversial, but, I think that Frankie was, obviously moving in and out, landing in volume, but Pedro was controlling the center of the cage. He was backing Frankie off. He was landing the more substantial shots, in my opinion.
What about 4-1, Fight Geek? What about round 5?
Well, round 5 was close as well. I mean, yeah. I thought that Pedro started taking control of the end of that round, as I thought he did on most of the rounds, where it would be very close. But towards the end, Pedro would land a couple heavy shots, really back Frankie up and put him on the defensive towards the end of the round, and I think he stole a couple of those rounds. I think one judge scored it the same as me, so I don't think it's that absurd. What I do take from it, whether I don't think it's a robbery, it's a close fight. The action was very close, and depending on what you value, I could see you scoring it different ways. Frankie was obviously the volume fighter, but Pedro was holding the center and landing the heavier shots. So I guess its beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But what I was going to say is one thing it definitely tells you is that Frankie Edgar is a certified top 10 bantamweight, and I think that's a revelation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. By the way, I personally scored it 3-2 for Frankie. I gave Frankie rounds 1, 2, and 5, but I thought it was very close, as you said. So yeah, absolutely.
See, I see a lot of people giving to Frankie, but I think those strikes were even, and Pedro was landing the heavier strikes, in my opinion. So
yeah, very fair. So let me ask you this little follow-up question: who would you like to see next for Frankie Edgar? He is now, by the way, debuted in the bantamweight rankings at number 5. Contender ahead of him are Corey Sandhagen, Cody Garbrandt, Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, and of course the champ Peter Yan.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys are kind of locked up right now, so I don't see him fighting up into that pack. I think he needs one more good win. 2 names that come to mind, Dominic Cruz or Rafael Assunção.
Yeah. I don't dislike either of those. I really don't.
I mean, those would be the logical picks for him to have another, not favorable matchup, but a winnable matchup. And then if he were to put 2 together, I think he would really be looking at fighting one of the top 1 or 2 guys.
Yeah, I think if I'm Frankie, I don't dislike your Dominic Cruz pick. I just don't think Cruz is going to agree to it. Honestly, I don't really know why Cruz hasn't retired.
Well, now Cruz, now that Frankie's ranked 5, there would be some incentive for Cruz to come back. He'd have an opportunity to beat a top 5 guy and prove his relevancy.
But do I sound, hold on really quick, do I sound like a hater to Cruz? Because that is not my intention. All I'm saying, Fight Geek, is I don't know what Cruz's path back to the belt is.
Well, if he were to beat Frankie Edgar, he'd beat a top 5 guy, and then he could potentially get himself into a number 1 contender match. So
yeah,
he's not that far off. His last fight was a title fight. If he were to come back and beat a guy who's surging like Frankie Edgar, an older guy, kind of like himself, which I think is very intriguing. I would probably favor Frankie based on the recent performances, but I think it's a great fight, and I think it does a lot for both guys, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what it does for the division is it eliminates one of these old guys as a contender, so it kind of kills one of them off as a contender, which we need. There's so many young contenders in that division.
So very interesting you mentioned killing off older contenders. That's something we need. because this is completely breaking news. It is not official. It's not official at all, Fight Geek. It's not official, folks. But Henry Cejudo, about an hour ago, has started screaming from the hilltops that he is ending his retirement. So curious to see how...
Was that a full calendar year or no?
It wasn't even 5 months.
Okay.
So I'm just curious what you think of that, Fight Geek. You know, is he going to get? I don't even know what Dana's going to do with him. I mean, what do you do when he just gave up both belts?
If Jan wins his next fight and really starts ascending, I think Jan versus Henry makes a ton of sense.
But will Dana want to give that to Henry after Henry, retired? You know, he dropped 2 belts. I mean, I feel like.
Well, considering, I think he would. Obviously, Henry's a pseudo draw at this point. If he's given Aldo, a title shot off of a loss, I think that Henry carries enough gravitas to get that title back, especially considering he never lost it in the cage.
Yeah. Okay. Very fair. I think you bring up a great point. All right. So are we ready to move on to our recap of UFC Vegas 7?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so guys, Munoz versus Edgar was one of those cards. I actually was, Fight Geek, it's funny, I was sitting here watching this with one of my good super casual friends, but he watches a lot of cards with me, and I told him before, I said, I'm not going to lie, this looks like one of the worst cards ever. I said that. I admit it.
And I was 1-6 at one point on my picks, which I just could not get a read on these fights. A lot of wild outcomes, a couple comebacks, some really crazy action that night.
Yeah, so it obviously ended up blowing expectations out of the water, right?
For sure, especially for a 9-fight card, tons of action.
Yeah, so we have to talk. I just have to start with talking about the opening fight. Trevin Jones defeating Timur Valiev in the second round via right hook and then TKO ground and pound after, I think, Fight Geek, it was the most incredible comeback since Pat Very Cheat Congo. Can you tell me if you agree, and if I'm wrong, what is a better comeback since then?
I mean, that's a great comeback.
Because Jones looked dead. He even looked like
he was getting steamrolled in the first
round. He even looked
round.
like maybe he wanted out,
defenseless. Right? I was surprised that the ref didn't stop the fight at one point. It looked like he was just unable to defend himself, but he found his way to the end of the first round bell, came back, weathered the storm to the point where I think Valiev kind of slowed down a touch.
He got freaked out. I think he looked a little freaked out by the resurgence.
I mean, considering the kind of output he was kind of throwing, he was having his way. I don't think he imagined that he would see the second round. So it was just one of those things, credit to Trevin Jones for just being tough, weathering the storm, and just waiting for an opportunity. So I think that's a skill in itself. So very impressive. Yeah,
really quick, do you think that Timur Valiev gets, this was his UFC debut, do you think he gets cut from this?
No, I don't think so. I think obviously you saw he has quite a bit of talent. He's an exciting fighter. He has a good style. I just think it's kind of a learning experience for him.
And you think he'll be okay mentally after? Because I've never seen a fighter so emotionally upset after. I mean, he was crying hysterically.
We never know how that'll turn out, but I'm sure that in the moment it was hard to take. I'm sure he felt in full control just 30 seconds earlier.
Oh, yeah. Hard not to feel for the guy. But, okay, moving on, because we've got a lot to cover today, folks. This was really the night of the comebacks and the exciting, surprisingly great fights. Daniel Rodriguez got that TKO via punches against Dwight Grant in the first round, 2 minutes, 24 seconds of round number 1. Then I want to talk about this fight. Shayna Dobson with the huge upset over Maria Agapova. 1 minute and 38 seconds in a round number 2.
This fight was crazy. Agapova, I mean, she expended so much energy and dancing before the fight, and then that first round where she didn't even take a breath, she was just going nonstop. I mean, I knew that was not going to be good watching it in the moment, and you saw that she absolutely just sputtered out and had nothing left.
What a comeback for Dobson, though.
Yeah, I mean, yes, she bided her time. She was, she stayed tight and fundamental, but I think it was more of a case of Agapova just being wildly out of control more so than anything else.
Okay. All right.
I mean, Agapova, until she kind of crashed out, was actually having her moments in the first round. I thought she won the first round, no?
No, of course you did, Fikey. Of course you did. But I would say to you, you can be winning a championship or some kind of sports game for the whole time. If you lose, you still lose. I mean, if
right,
anything,
but
it's
that
even
doesn't
worse.
mean that doesn't mean like it knocks too much of her polish off. She's still very young. She still has a good style and a lot of potential to work with. This is just obviously something
she's carried out on a stretcher. She's carried out on a stretcher.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a little, look, guys, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm sounding like this couch coach. I couldn't go out there and fight my hardest for 15 minutes in MMA. I know that. If Maria's going to dance all the time before the fight, maybe save some energy and, don't get taken out on a stretcher. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right, let's keep it moving. Moving Rodriguez in the co-main. What'd you think here? He had a nice finish.
I thought it was really exciting, to be honest. That was like a hellbow, wasn't it? That was one of...
big hellbow finish there.
Against Marcin Prachnio.
I'm not quite sure how tough that competition is, so it'll be interesting to see Mike Rodriguez go up and fight somebody.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. Really quick, I wanted to touch on that, Fight Geek. The reason that the one thing about these fights, that's the biggest complaint is that I see these impressive wins, but then, Fight Geek, I'm not coming to you today and saying, oh, let's make this matchup, let's make that matchup, because I don't know how much I can take away from these wins,
Exactly.
So that's the only problem. But it was great.
Good co-main event spot to get a knockout, though. I'm sure that it raised his profile a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then...
And one more thing. Is his nickname Slow?
Ooh, I can find...
Slow Mike Rodriguez. If so, I think it's the one.
Yes, it is. Wow. It is Slow Mike Rodriguez. That is... Oh, my gosh. That's the word... Is Juice listening to this from Fighting With Myself?
It's a 2, in my opinion, on the nickname scale.
What would be a 1? If Slow is a 2, what is your 1? It can't get worse than Slow.
I can't remember off the top of my head the guy. I think there's a...
Coconut Bombs. Some people say Coconut Bombs, but this is worse.
I think Coconut Bombs is awesome.
Oh, no. This is so much worse than Coconut Bombs.
I mean...
Wow, Mike Slow Rodriguez.
25-7 is pretty horrible.
Dang, Slow. That is bad, bro. Oh, my gosh. All right.
Just call yourself Sloth.
Yeah, seriously. Right. Oh, man.
Sloth Mike Rodriguez.
Yup. And so we touched on this briefly. The main event, Frankie Edgar defeats Pedro Munoz via 5-round split decision in a really exciting, main event. I was very impressed with Frankie. I think it's really going to be interesting to see where he goes. Do you think that he can potentially win the belt? I think he can be a title contender, but Fight Geek, I just don't see it.
I don't think he'll get through the top three guys in that division. I don't think he possesses enough power. He's very technical, obviously. There's very few guys in the UFC who have a signature style, but Frankie Edgar truly does have a signature style with his boxing footwork and his in and out, which I think will keep him in most fights, but I think Jan would possess too much power for him. I think Aljamain is just too young and fresh for him. So I think he would have a hard time at the top. I think he would have a hard time with the explosiveness of a Marlon Moraes. Obviously, if he outlasted Marlon for the first round and a half or two, he could potentially take him into deep water. So I think he's right on that top 3, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so... moving on really quickly to our quick news and headlines section, which I did not announce at the beginning of the episode. There's only one thing to cover, that's why. I want your thoughts on Tony Ferguson versus Dustin Poirier. While it is not official, it is highly believed per Poirier and Ferguson's social media that they have a fight lined up for October in particular, and I have very strong reason to believe, 99.9% assurance to believe, that they will be the co-main event of UFC 254, Khabib versus Gaethje. My question to you, Fight Geek, is should all title eliminator fights be a mandatory 5 rounds? I think they should be.
Well, in a perfect world, yes, they should be, as like a pre-qualifier for a title shot. But in the COVID era we're in right now, and with the unpredictability, we're going to see a lot more 3-round main events, I think.
Well, but that's the thing, though. Ferguson versus Poirier isn't even scheduled as a fight night main event. It's going to be, it's supposedly going to be the co-main for 254 in case Khabib or Gaethje gets injured, and that's my annoyance there.
Yeah, no, if that fight's 3 rounds, I'm not even sure. What are you saying? Is it been confirmed that it's a 5-round co-main event?
No. Oh no, it's It's all but confirmed because Dustin says, "See you in October, guys." All the October slots have main events. They're completely finished. He says, "See you in October," and it seems pretty obvious that it's going to be. I mean, I would think it seems pretty obvious it's going to be that 254 card because, as you know, Dana loves to put other lightweights under those lightweight title fights in case of injuries.
Okay. Was there a question in there somewhere?
Yeah. Thanks, smartass. Yeah, my question was, do you agree or disagree that they should be mandatory 5 rounds if they're a title eliminator like this fight?
Well, I don't think anything is like clearly defined as a title eliminator in the UFC. Everything's so fluid. If it was truly recognized as a title eliminator formally, then yes, I would say so. But the UFC, there's no such thing as a formal title eliminator because guys like Jose Aldo off 0-2 can get a title shot. Conor McGregor can come back and probably get a title shot.
All right, I understand. Can't you humor me? Yes. Can't you humor my theory?
Yes, in a perfect world, absolutely. It'd be nice to do that.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay, so are we ready to move on to the UFC Vegas 8 preview and picks?
Yes.
All right, great. Okay, so this is Lionheart versus Rakic. Again, this is another 3-round main event since after Yair got injured, Zabit chose not to stay on the card, which I understand, I suppose. I do. So obviously they had to make another 3-round main event because of that. So I'm not blaming Zabit. I know that Yair.
Yeah, and I just listened to the Anthony Smith interview. I mean, he was fine with it. So I mean, it sucks for the fans, but
they get paid. Well, Lionheart revealed that they're getting paid main card status. So here's my. Actually, I'm really glad you brought this up, Fight Geek. Here's my question for you. I'm very concerned because there's now been 3 main events this year that have been 3-round main events, and I know that all of those fighters have been paid the main event purse. What I'm scared is that all of these people that keep pulling out, keep not caring about whether they stay on a card or not, it's a beat. Anyways, these people, that they're going to lead to, why would a fighter agree to 5 rounds when you can get paid for 3? I think that they might end up successfully killing the 5-round fight night main event if this continues. What are your thoughts?
You're a pessimist. I don't think they want to kill it.
I don't think they want to kill it either. I think they might be forced to.
Situationally, sometimes it's hard to make that happen on short notice, especially with guys falling out, guys getting injured, guys getting sick, testing positive, all these different things, popping for USADA violations. There's all kinds of things that can throw a loop and a wrench in things. So yeah, I mean, we're going to see more of it right now, but I definitely think it should stay the 5 rounds.
Oh, no definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be hard on Zabit because I know Zabit fans are screaming right now, Yair's the one who got injured, and that's totally true. Yair deserves a ton of criticism. He never comes to play. He's always hurt.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Yair fan, but
he's always hurt. He's always got an excuse.
To the cage as well.
It's always something. It's always something with him. So it's getting old for sure. I personally, this is the last thing I'll say, Fight Geek, is I personally think that Zabit and Yair are 2 of the biggest drama queens in MMA, and I just both pray that they never get the belt. And I'll look forward to rooting against them, whether it's Volk or Korean Zombie or Holloway.
Fair enough.
All right, everyone's annoyed with me, so let's move on. Okay, so moving on. Let's take a look at the main card and make our picks for that. So let's start off with Magomed Ankalaev versus Ian Cutelaba. This is the very popular fight that is back.
The rematch after the controversial stoppage and being pulled off the previous card. So this is like the 3rd time trying to make this fight. I'm actually going to take Magomed Ankalaev. I think I said that wrong. But, yeah, I think he's going to get it done. I think Cutelaba has a tendency to just be wild. I think that will not serve him well here. I think he's going to come out and be hyper emotional based on what's happened already. And I'm going to take, how do you say it? Ankalaev?
I think so.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah.
I'm going to take him by I'm going to take him by split decision.
Okay, so I've got Cutelaba in a
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2nd round finish.
Fair enough.
I know he's not favored. I know he's the underdog here, but every underdog has his day.
I mean, I like Kutalaba, but he seems to be a knucklehead. Sometimes he doesn't stick to the game plan. He just goes so wild.
Oh, for sure. But I'd also argue, isn't that one of his greatest strengths at times?
Well, yeah, it is his greatest strength, but I think that's why he's fallen into like a handful of losses just because he's a knucklehead.
Yeah, hard to disagree there. Okay, moving on. Ricardo Lamas, shout out Chi-Town where I was born, versus Bill Algeo. I've got Ricardo Lamas here and winning a unanimous decision.
Yep, Ricardo Lamas is getting a little long in the tooth. I think he's 38. Yeah. He was a top 10 guy for quite a while. He's had some tough luck lately, but everyone he fights is top of the food chain, tough guys. So I think this will be a little bit of a chance for him to catch his breath and get back on the right path. So I'm taking Ricardo Lamas via unanimous decision.
All right. I love it. Next, we've got Yi-Jon Kim versus Alexa Grasso. This is a flyweight bout.
It should be a fun one. I'm actually going to take Alexa Grasso. I think she'll be a little sharper on the feet. And she's just continuing to grow, get experience, get better. I think she has elite talent, so it's just a matter if she's going to put it together or not. And I'll take her via unanimous decision.
This is interesting. We're disagreeing a little bit here. I am again going with the heavy underdog. I'm going to take Yi-Jon Kim by split decision. The little that I've seen from Kim, I've been impressed with. I think it's a very close fight. I won't stand here.
But she got outpointed by Antonina Shevchenko, who in her own right is a solid striker. She's not
Antonina gets too much hate, though.
But what I'm saying is if Antonina beat her in a point fight, I think Alexa Grasso is going to beat her in a point fight. Alexa Grasso is a very good boxer and a very good striker. That's her skill set. So
I agree.
I think that she'll be comfortable in that matchup.
I agree. I just look. As we know, MMA math, MMA logic doesn't always add up, and I've got a feeling that Kim's going to get a split decision. But if I'm wrong, obviously,
it's actually one of the more intriguing fights on the main card for sure.
Definitely, I wouldn't want to bet on it. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. That brings us to the co-main, which is super interesting. Ruthless Robbie Law versus Neil Magny. Who are you taking here?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of emotion here with a lot of people. But, guys, I think Neil Magny is about to get a relatively easy win, and it breaks my heart to say it.
Yeah, I think Neil Magny is just going to implement a pressure game plan a la Colby Covington and just grind on Robbie. If Robbie doesn't land that big shot, I just don't see how he wins. Neil looked great in his last fight and has always pushed the pace. So, yeah, I would see Neil Magny winning by decision here, but definitely pulling for Robbie.
Yep, absolutely, as am I. Moving on to now the main event. Again, reminder, guys, this is only a 3-round main event just because Yair versus Zabit did fall through. Both fell off the card, so it is now just a 3-round main event. Hopefully this doesn't become the permanent norm for every card. But it's Anthony Lionheart-Smith versus Alexander Rakic. And this is a fascinating one, Fight Geek. I've seen the vast majority taking out Alexander in this one. And it's understandable because, Lionheart looked horrible against Glover, if I'm being honest. But what people are forgetting is 2 things. Number one, Smith was fighting Glover, who is, despite his age, an
tank of a man.
A tank, an extremely elite tank. And second of all, people are forgetting that Lionheart dominated the first 2 rounds. And this is a 3-round fight. So I am going again with the underdog, and he is the underdog. I'm taking Anthony Lionheart-Smith by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I can't see it, man.
A
guy
right,
as
fair
big
enough.
and strong and as powerful as Alexander Rakic. I have a feeling he's going to get his hands on Anthony early. Anthony, didn't he just have a broken orbital and his teeth falling out 3 months ago? So it's a relatively short turnaround
His
for a guy
teeth are fixed. He had the
well, they may be fixed, but it was only 90 days ago that they were fixed. Do we know how well they're set in his gums before he starts taking shots to the mouth again?
I would imagine his doctors would not allow
Well,
him
I'm
to go
just
out.
saying 90 days is a quick turnaround, especially for a broken orbital with a guy who hits like Rakic and is explosive and powerful. I think he gets his hands on Anthony early, and I think it looks bad for Anthony. I'm going to take second round TKO Rakic.
All right. This is a fun card because for the first time in a while, we've completely disagreed almost completely on the card. So this will be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Nice. All right. So with that, Guys, we're going to take a really quick break, and then we'll be right back with listener questions and more. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 78, here with my always brilliant co-host, The Fight Geek, and it is now time for my favorite section of all, Listener I feel like I'm getting worse. Am I getting worse and worse at that singing?
You're up and down.
Okay, because people would be forgiven for thinking, is this guy getting like worse at singing this? Because I wonder that. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Listener questions. So this comes from a true OG of the podcast. That's at DeanDog3. DeanDog3 says, with the belt vacant and light heavyweight loaded with talent, does Anthony Lionheart Smith get another title shot, or has that ship sailed? #AskSplitPod.
Well, considering I'm predicting him to get stopped this weekend, I would say no. He's probably on the outside looking in my opinion.
Yeah, thanks, negative hater. Well, if Lionheart wins, what do you think then?
I think he's underneath Glover, Thiago.
But Santos and Glover are about to fight.
True, and then he's still behind, obviously. So he's maybe, if he wins this one, he's another win away from being considered.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, because the Santos-Glover winner will probably get the winner of Reyes.
Exactly.
Jan. Yeah.
And then he would have to fight he may have to fight the loser of one of those fights.
I mean, he might have to rematch Glover, because I think Santos is going to be
Glover. Or he may have to rematch Santos.
Hey, listen, Santos Lionheart 2 is a fight I've been calling for a long time.
That was at 185 too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it'd be a different fight this time around. I definitely think that'd be interesting. So either way, the top 5 shakes out. I mean, Anthony will have an opportunity to win. He's got to win this weekend and then win another fight to be considered. But, I mean, I'd say he's definitely in that mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so...
But I think he's losing this weekend, so...
Well, we disagree, so... What do you think of that?
I think you're wrong.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, this question's from Eduardo at Landa Crew, a Split Podcast OG. He says, do you think we'll see Anthony Rumble Johnson fight for the title in 2021? #AskSplitPod. And Fight Geek, if you didn't already know, Ali Abdelaziz announced that Rumble Johnson is coming back, and so far it's planned to be at light heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, I like Anthony Rumble Johnson. He's a fun guy. He obviously is one of the bigger power punchers in the history of the UFC, but I don't particularly view Rumble Johnson as this elite championship quality fighter. I mean, he's been exposed at multiple weight classes. He's lost many times to elite fighters, so I think he'll have to come back and prove that he's still a step ahead of this new younger generation who's been active. I mean, what did he take, 2.5 years off? You know, he's been up to, looks like 280 pounds. You know, God only knows what he's been in the marijuana business, I believe. So I think there's a lot of variables with Rumble Johnson coming back. So I need to see him beat a top-notch guy before I even really consider him as like a legitimate title contender.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So let me go ahead and just answer this question as directly as I can. I say no. You know, definitely not. No.
Yeah.
I think in 2021, no, that's too fast. Maybe if he looks amazing, which I'm highly skeptical.
How old is he? I mean, next year, what is he, 37, 38 years old?
Oh, yeah, I'm highly skeptical that it even works out. But even if it did, Fight Geek, he wouldn't get a shot until 22.
I mean,
I don't see. No, I don't think he
Who would you say? Who could you see him debuting against?
Well, I think it's a great question. I think Yuri Prochazka would be a real fun number 6 contender. How about that one?
Or just throw him someone like slow Mike Rodriguez to butcher for the fans.
Yeah. You could do the loser of Lionheart, Rakic.
You could throw him in there with the Kutilava winner this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
No, he's gonna warrant a big name when he comes back. It's gonna have.
No,
to
I
be
was
a
gonna
guy
say
in the
that's
top
not good
6.
enough. I was gonna say that's not good enough for him.
No, it's not good enough for him. I'm just kind of going off the cuff. So
okay, fair enough.
Or Vulcan would be interesting.
Yep, Vulcan would be great. I think, and again, I know I know everyone hates Vulcan right now and thinks he's shit. I know that, but
Vulcan's a tough out.
I don't think he's a bad fighter, and I know people think he does right now, but whatever. I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he's a bad fighter. He got caught his last fight. He was looking good. Who did he lose to his last fight? He got knocked out by
Yuri Prochazka.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Who's sticking his chin out, remember? He's sticking his chin out, and then Vulcan.
Oh, yeah, that was a wild fight, for sure.
That was a wild. That's why I say Yuri versus Rumble, I think sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, but is he a big enough name for the kind of risk? You don't want to bring Rumble back.
He's ranked number 6 contender, so you're trying to get into that contender.
I know, but the return of Rumble Johnson is actually something you could sell. I don't think you could,
Okay, so who would you prefer realistically? Because Yuri's number 6 contender, so you've got to go.
I think it's got to be one of those top 6 guys we discussed. It's got to be Lionheart, Glover, Santos.
Jan.
It's got to be someone in that group, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is not a question, and this isn't even a question for you, but really quick statement, and we'll get into this on a later episode, but a lot of people think that, Jan Blachowicz versus Dominic Reyes for the vacant light heavyweight belt at UFC 253 is going to be a boring one-sided affair where Reyes dominates. You guys are really underestimating Jan.
No, I don't think it's going to be
It's going to be an amazing fight. It's going to be an amazing fight.
I think it's going to be a striking chess match. I think you're going to see Dom try to use his athleticism to stay away from Jan's technical counter-striking.
And Jan throws like a truck, man.
And he's very crisp. So, you're going to have the better athlete in Reyes versus the more technical guy in Jan. I think it's a fun fight. A guy who gets a lot of hate is Jan Blachowicz. People kind of talk down on his ability. He's actually a very formidable fighter. His resume is very good. I think he's a little underrated in my opinion.
Yeah. Should we really quickly, I know that we need to get to all the listener questions, really quickly discuss, because we didn't cover this, that Jon Jones has officially vacated his light heavyweight belt, and it looks like he's making a move to heavyweight. Dana White has already said on the record that Jones may not skip over Ngannou, and that Ngannou versus Stipe 2 is 100% next. But Dana then said that he would give Jones a title shot after that. Fight Geek, what do you think of that? I think that Jones has walked into a hornet's nest because he doesn't realize that Ngannou is likely going to defeat Stipe, and he doesn't want to fight Ngannou. I think he wants to fight Stipe. I think that if Ngannou wins, we're going to hear a lot of excuses from Jones, and he won't agree. He'll say, oh, this isn't what the contract said originally. Oh, you've got to treat me with respect and pay me fairly. And then everyone's going to say, pay him what he deserves. And it'll all just be a lie, and he never intended to fight Ngannou because he's scared.
There's so many hypotheticals in your story you just made up there.
And I used the word scared, which is really going to piss people off.
I don't know, man. I think.
Who you got in Ngannou Jones? Who you got in Ngannou Jones?
I'm not going to speculaate.
Who wins in Ngannou Jones, Fight Geek? Who wins?
Heavyweight.
Who wins in Ngannou Jones? You know the answer.
Yeah, I think Ngannou would win, but again, I'm not going to sit here and give a list of 17 hypotheticals that I think may happen or may not happen. I'll just wait for something to get announced.
Yeah, and I love Stipe, by the way, and he's the greatest. Look, he's the greatest heavyweight champion in UFC history, guys. So if you want me to say it, I'm saying it right now. There ain't no doubt. He's proven it. He's the GOAT of the UFC heavyweights. So nothing but love and respect for Stipe. I just think it'll be a tough rematch. That's all.
Fair enough. All right, we got another one?
Yeah, all right. So moving on to our next question. How come you never have them lined up? How come it's always my job? Okay. This is from Yugi MMA, my man. Follow Yugi, guys. He's also got a great podcast. He's a great dude, really is. He says, how do you guys both think Condit will fare against Court McGee? I want to see Condit go out with a win.
Well, if his cardio is there and he's in shape, he should use Court McGee as a punching bag, technically. I mean,
wow, you really think he's going to use Court McGee as a punching bag? I don't know.
I mean, Court McGee's a very tough guy, but he's lumbering. He's fairly slow. I mean,
Carlos ain't exactly looked championship caliber lately.
No, he hasn't looked championship caliber, but I mean, if you know anything about Carlos Condit, his striking acumen, and
here's what I have to deal with.
The kind of fighter he's been throughout his career, if he's 70% of what he can be, he should handle Court McGee fairly easily. It's obviously a big if at this extended age, but I think Court McGee is an ideal matchup for him.
All right, I love it. I love it again because, again, we disagree. I've got Court winning this via close, unanimous decision.
Okay.
And I know what Carlos has accomplished in the past, and I'm aware that Court.
Well, you're acting like Court McGee's looked good in his recent fights.
Bro, I know. He's from tough. He never did much. I'm aware who Court McGee is, bro. I'm aware who Court McGee is. I'm just saying I'm also aware of how Carlos Condit has looked.
Okay.
You think? Okay, so wait. You were asking me a question of what was Court's last good win?
What, do you Google it?
That's what I did, man.
The last time you saw Court McGee fight, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. Let's go.
No, it was not. It was. You're gonna ask me which card it was. Okay, I can't remember which card it was, and I'm gonna have to Google it. But I know it was against Garcia.
Okay,
I know it was against Garcia. It was against Garcia.
Let the record show that Phil has said he's going for Court McGee over Carlos Condit.
That's just fine. Let the record show that.
All right.
You're gonna scare me with let the record show? Do you know how many L's I've taken on that? Okay. Moving on. That was a joke, kind of. Moving on. So this is from my man Jalen Ware, our OG. God, OG, always asking the fire questions. He says, he's at strive2b_great. Give him a follow, guys. He says, in the light heavyweight division, out of Reyes, Yan, Rumble, and Santos, who has the best chance of winning and defending the belt successfully? #AskSplitPod. Ooh, what a fun one.
Yes, that is a great question, and I think the answer has to be Dominic Reyes based on age and style. Yeah, that's my choice.
And I am... Oh, man, I'm so tempted to choose Santos. I'm so tempted.
Santos is old and just had 2 blown-out
I know.
knees.
Well, that's why I said I'm so tempted, and then I didn't pick him.
I mean, other than your love affair with him and one good performance against John, he's a borderline journeyman.
Oh my God. That is so messed up. Do you know? Yeah, tell Anna Kunitsakaya that you think that her lover's a journeyman. See what she says. She won't appreciate it.
You think that he has a better chance of being a reigning champion than Dominic Reyes?
Yana Kunitsakaya is about to cancel her appearance on our show because of what you just said. Yana, I am so sorry. Yana, your baby daddy is an amazing man. Okay, I'm done. Still went too far. Okay, I think the answer is probably Reyes. Honestly, but here's my honest answer. It's Reyes or Yan. Yeah, I know that everyone's like, Yan, shut up, idiot. Listen, guys, Yan is not bad. He folded Corey Anderson like a tent, okay? He knows how to fight. I know he's had some bad losses. Guess what? People get better. People improve. They don't stay the same. So it's the winner of Reyes Yan. I think they're both, whoever wins that is going to go on and do great things.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's definitely a good choice. And then a guy like Alexander Rakic could be in that conversation too. He's still fairly young, has a ton of potential. If he were to put it together, he has the kind of profile who could be a reigning champion.
Absolutely. Moving on to my man, Cyrus King. That's at Cyrus King. Great guy. Very close friend. He's got a great podcast, Combat Corner. Check that out, guys. He says, what are the chances of Frankie Edgar becoming the champ at 135? So we sort of answered this, but we'll jump into it really quick. I'll answer first. Obviously, I think slim to none. Slim to none, and I don't feel disrespectful saying slim to none.
Frankie Edgar, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, I see him as like a top 3 guy, but I just don't see him beating those truly elite guys in their prime.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for the question, Cyrus. And then this is from another OG, Glitch, that's at MMA Port. He says, hashtag #AskSplitPod. Did Frankie win the fight Saturday night? So another question we've somewhat
I
answered.
honestly
He said
scored
4-1.
it 4-1 the night of and scored it 3-2 since, and I don't believe he did, but fair play.
I scored it 3-2 Frankie, but I definitely concede it was close. I have trouble with your 4-1 scoring, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, that's on a Saturday afternoon with a
fair enough.
couple in me.
Okay, fair enough. So this is from one of the truest OGs of the show. I mean, I think he's been with us since episode 1 or 2. At Reusable Shoe. Reusable Shoe says, in your opinion, who's had the best year in the UFC? And that's a really, really good, tough one.
Like overall or performance-wise?
I think it's over. Well, he didn't say, but I think it's overall. But that's a hard one, isn't it?
It is a very hard one.
I mean, because I'm just telling you what I'm thinking right now off the top of my head, Fight Geek. I'm not thinking of champions. I'm thinking of people like Tanner Boser. I'm thinking of people like Khamzat Chimaev.
Well, I mean, again, this could be two parts because Jorge Masvidal's on ESPN playing cornhole, and then on
but
the
he's
cover
0-1. He's 0-1
on the video game. Yeah, but still, what are we talking about here? Because he's grown his social profile larger than almost any other fighter in the roster in this year.
I know, and there's a bunch of people that say that he should fight Leon Edwards next, which I get, but it's like, guys, come on, business 101 here.
No, he would rather take Nate Diaz too from a business standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, again, you guys got to understand, this is a business decision. He is trying to make money. He's not going to be fighting for the rest of his life.
Well, how about, I've got one for you. How about Peter Yan, a guy who stopped Uriah Faber and, who did he just stop? Sorry, drew a blank.
Jose Aldo, the greatest featherweight of all time.
Jose Aldo. Two aging guys, but completely stopped both of them and is an ascending champion. So he's had a great year. Stipe Miocic has had a good year on the back of winning that trilogy.
Another good. Yeah, you know what? Stipe is. I'd accept that as an answer.
Right. Justin Gaethje's had a hell of a year. I know it's only the one win, but it's over Tony Ferguson and set up the biggest fight of his life.
All right. You're weighing on hand, but you're not following I had this little rule where I was just naming people that were 2 wins or more.
Oh, 2 wins or more.
But maybe
I'm just going off profile, career-wise.
Yeah, I know. No, you're right. You're not wrong. But, okay, so is it fair to say Tanner Boser and Khamzat Chimaev for 2 of the year, or am I maybe wrong?
No, because I think that Khamzat Chimaev hype was kind of in a vacuum for those couple weeks. Yeah, it was impressive, but
do you not believe in him going far? I think you will.
I didn't say that. I just, until I see him fight again, he's not a guy I've been sitting around daydreaming about. I don't think he raised his profile that much. He beat 2 guys who I'd never really heard of or watched fight before, so he just really hasn't taken that step onto like the radar. Obviously, what we saw was great, but I mean, there's still quite a bit more, I would say, to consider him the most successful fighter of 2019. Come on.
Or 2020, I think you mean.
Or 2020, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
it's easy 2020.
It's easy to forget about this horrible year of hell. So.
Davison Figueiredo stopped Joseph Benavidez twice this year.
Oh, right? That's the answer. Stop. The correct answer is Davison Figueiredo.
All right, I'll take that one.
There can't not be. You can't not say Davison Figueiredo.
Well, I mean, he did miss weight, but I think based on the performances, yeah, they were both super impressive. So let's go with Davison Figueiredo.
Yep, I have to begrudgingly agree there. Okay, so this next question comes from love this guy, Jacob Powers at Jacob Powers 2. Jacob, what up? He says #AskSplitPod. What's your guys' favorite commentating combo? So you've got to choose 2. He said combo.
Okay, well, I can pretty much, Michael Bisping is number 1 for me. I love his conversation. Yeah, Michael Bisping with anyone other than Dominic Cruz usually works for me.
I like Bisping a lot. I think he suffers from maybe being a little inconsistent, but I like him a lot. Okay, so go ahead. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I think as these guys get more comfortable, when they first started doing the commentary, they were a little closer to the vest. Now that they're kind of just have free reign, you see guys like Bisping and Dominic Cruz kind of talking a little too much or overstepping, I would say, as commentators. But I do love Bisping. And then, I mean, goodness, I'm not a fan of a lot of the new
Daniel
guys.
Cormier. I'm getting mad here.
No, I'm not a huge Cormier fan.
On the mic, on the calling fights.
No, I'm not a overly large fan of his. I used to be a fan of Kenny Florian. They got rid of him. I liked Kenny Florian. The new guys, I mean, I like Joe Rogan. I know you're not a big fan of him, but
no, it's not that. I mean, it's not that I don't like Joe. I mean, look, Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan, right? I mean, he's obviously always going to be a pioneer of UFC and what he contributed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that as more and more fighters have gotten used to talking, it becomes increasingly obvious that Joe Rogan can't quite keep up.
Well, maybe that's true. Maybe he needs to move more to the color commentary side of it rather than the analyst, because I think his role's a little blurred that way.
I agree with that completely.
Yes.
Okay, so what's your final answer is Bisping and Joe Rogan?
I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with that, in my opinion. But they rarely work together because Bisping usually doing the fight nights and Rogan's only pay-per-view.
Now I'm going to go with, ready? I'm going to go with an interesting one. I'm going to go with Daniel Cormier and Michael Bisping.
I mean, that's hard to go wrong. It's hard to go wrong with those.
Are you going to have a bad night of commentary when it's Bisping and DC? I'm feeling pretty good about it.
There'll be a lot of laughs.
Exactly. I'm feeling pretty confident about those.
For sure.
That's my choice. Great question, Jacob. Thank you. Okay, this next question comes from Martin the Spartan at All Sports MMA. Love this guy. Give him a follow, guys. He says, with a loaded bantamweight division, who would be a good comeback fight for TJ Dillashaw? #AskSplitPod. And it's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question.
I'll let you take it as the podcast TJ Dillashaw fan.
Jimmy Rivera versus TJ Dillashaw.
Whoa. Wow, I'm surprised you say that as a TJ fan. Isn't that very low for Mr. Dillashaw?
Well, I mean, he's coming off a suspension. I mean, depending on what things look like when he comes back, I don't know what the landscape will look like, but I mean, obviously, any of them look good. Frankie Edgar.
Do you dislike or do you like or hate, because you're either going to like or hate this idea, like or hate the idea of Garbrandt TJ3?
I hate that idea.
Oh, see, I kind of am cool with it.
Cody is going to 125,
and then he's going to get
so
his ass. He's going to get his ass whooped.
What if he goes down there, loses, and then he comes back? Why would he fight?
What do you mean? What if that's going to happen?
I mean, so he would be coming off a loss and then 0-2 to TJ. What would be any reason for TJ to take that fight? I mean, I think Frankie Edgar, even someone if Jose Aldo's going to stay there, Jose Aldo versus TJ Dillashaw when he comes back actually makes the most sense.
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see how TJ does. Do you think that it's true or false that how TJ does when he comes back will decide his overall legacy? Because if he doesn't do well, people will say
that's for each individual to decide based on how they feel about it.
Don't be boring. What's your opinion? We're not here to say what each individual feels and prove by odds.
I'm not happy as a TJ fan that he popped, but do I think that TJ Dillashaw is one of the most talented fighters to ever grace the UFC? 100%.
No, I hear you. I hear that, but yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think the fact that he cheated takes away from the fact that he's a sublime talent.
I'm not necessarily saying that it is taking away from that.
No, I think universally when guys are popped, I think it takes away, especially in the court of public opinion. So I understand that. I understand that TJ, every single time he does something great for the rest of his career, that is going to be a topic of conversation.
But do you agree with me that, no, I'm saying he can redeem himself. He can come over that hump.
No, I don't think, to a certain extent, guys like him and John Jones will never 100% fully redeem themselves. They can't.
Well, that's true, but that's true. But in TJ's defense.
Even Anderson Silva can't fully redeem himself.
There's a difference. There's a difference between Anderson and Jones and TJ, and that difference, Fikey, because TJ's only been caught once. TJ's been caught once. Jones and Anderson have been caught multiple times. I mean, they are serial drug cheats, and that's not up for discussion.
But the thing is, Phil, you have no idea how many of these guys have been doing it for how long.
It doesn't matter. If they don't get caught, you can't put it against them. If you rob a bank and get away with it, you can't say you've been arrested, can you?
Just because your favorite fighters have never popped doesn't mean for a fact that they've never cheated. It just means that they've never got caught.
That may be true. I don't think
that
it is.
is a fact.
Okay, then it makes them even more clever, and they don't get punished for that.
Well, no, I just think
you can't punish someone for suspicions. What? So you think that if someone's suspected of any crime, they have to be arrested, right? I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm just saying, just because someone's, just because someone is
I don't
suspected.
think that I think that they are going to be forever tarnished in some people's eyes, and that's okay. But I don't think that takes away from their talent. I mean, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. I hear you.
I mean, I think T.J. Dillashaw, talent-wise, is still a top 3 bantamweight of all time, whether he cheated or not. Just like I think John Jones is the greatest light heavyweight of all time, whether he cheated or not.
All right. Fair enough. Did
I just incriminate myself on air?
A little bit, but I love it. I want to let you keep doing it. So anyways, I won't. Okay, moving on. So so we asked Martin the Spartan. Okay, so this is from Oscar Silva at WWE UFC _FAN. And we, really quickly, Fight Geek, we have to stop the show for a quick second and apologize to Oscar. That's right, we've got to apologize to Oscar. Oscar, we missed your question last week, and I am very sorry for that. We really don't like doing that. Thank you for calling us out, and I apologize. So he said, what are some of your dream matchups for Robbie Lawler? Fight Geek, start us off.
There's only one dream matchup for Robbie Lawler, and it's Robbie versus Nick Diaz 2. Case closed.
And what is the likeliness of that happening, and is it more or less than an asteroid hitting the Earth and killing all of us?
What is the point of asking about a dream matchup if I'm going to ask? Okay, fine. Robbie Lawler versus Wonder Boy. I mean, what do you mean? Of course a dream matchup is something that's very unlikely.
Okay, fair. That's fair. I'm just going to say
so. Yes.
That's fair. Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, what's my dream matchup for Robbie Lawler? Look, I'll confess that's a hard question to answer. Why? Because I know for a fact, look, I was a big Robbie Lawler fan, okay? I know for a fact that Robbie ain't what he used to be. I think everyone who's a Lawler fan knows that more than even me. The diehard Lawler fans know that better than anyone. So a dream matchup for Robbie Lawler, I mean, look, that's hard to come up with right now, right? Because it's not like it's going to be peak Lawler. So
that's why you got to give him an old guy with a storyline. Like
I think Cowboy 2, because by the way, at 214,
Cowboy 2?
At 214 when they fought, I scored that for Cowboy.
I almost threw up in my mouth just hearing you say that.
Why don't you name the better fight that's and not Nick Diaz 2, because it's more likely that, we're going to literally start living on the moon in
Phil, you
2022.
Can't make me change my dream matchup. It's my dream.
Nope, that is not acceptable. Change that dream.
Change
the dream now. Your dreams are not acceptable to me, and that is not okay.
Your dreams are too practical, Phil. Come on.
Dreams are not okay. That's my message for this whole show. I'm just kidding. God.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. Do you have a question? Why am I like the DJ all the time? Why can't you look too? Do you guys see what's happening here? He bullies me every week.
Feed me questions, Phil.
No, that's like what it's like. You're like, what's next? What's next? I'm like, oh, bro, we both have access.
The people want to know what I think.
Okay. But they don't want you tiring your brain with searching for the question.
You're the color commentary. I'm the analyst.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
All right, this is at Matt, the MMA fan. Getting a little close to my name, but that's okay, man. It's not the same, so you know what? You're cool. Unlike some people who have tried to steal the MMA dude moniker. That's okay. Do you think that the winner of Glover versus Santos should be the first title challenge for the Reyes-Yan winner, or should they fight someone else first? And who do you see coming out on top of the Glover-Santos matchup? Good question.
I'm gonna say yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, that's the person who fights.
And I'm gonna take Glover in that matchup.
Over Santos?
Yes, over Santos, who's coming off a big injury layoff.
Why do you hate Yana Kunitsukaya in her love? You hate Yana Kunitsukaya in her love life.
Glover's a big, heavy guy on a win streak who just beat a former 185er in Anthony Smith. I think he would match up favorably versus Santos.
Okay, can we make one deal? If Santos beats Glover, then I get to ask Santos onto the show, and you have to tell Santos to his face that you picked against him.
No.
Oh. Okay. Well, that ends that. All right, fine. Okay, so...
it's nothing personal, man.
I got Santos winning this. I think you're crazy. I think Santos wins this inside of 3 with a TKO finish. I think his power is too great. I think Santos, look, I mean, I'm one of the people who scored the Santos-Jones fight for Santos. And before you get mad, everyone, I scored the Reyes-Santos fight on the night for Jones. And then I ended up scoring the Jones-Reyes fight for Reyes the next day. But on the night, I scored it for Jones. But I think Santos beat him. So I think Santos beats... I do think Santos beats Glover fairly easily.
Okay.
All right. So then the next question is from at Rebel_Redwood. That's Redwood_Rebel. That's at Rebel_Redwood. He says, #AskSplitPod. Who do you want Rumble Johnson to fight in his return? I suggest Yuri Prochazka. Oh, I like you, Redwood
yeah,
Rebel.
we just discussed
I like
that.
you. I
It
just
makes a
said
lot of
that,
sense.
bro. I like you, bro.
But I just don't know if that's a big enough name. But, I mean, it's definitely an interesting fight, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Rumble's going to come back and expect to have a main event and versus one of the top 5 guys. So I think it's going to be one of them, honestly.
Okay, great. So next question comes from, I believe, a new question asker. Not a new listener, but I believe this is his first question. This is from Adam Jawangi. That's at AJEWANGI. He says, Phil, will you cry when Poirier KOs Ferguson? #AskSplitPod. And the honest answer, all joking aside, is that yes, I will cry, but it won't be in front of anyone. I often cry when this stuff happens in the shower the next morning. To really quickly quote the 80s band Whitesnake, nobody can hear the sorrow, nobody can see the tears when you're crying in the rain. Did I just lose all the listeners? Or?
Are you done?
I'm done now, yeah.
Well, I won't cry because it won't happen. If Justin Gaethje couldn't get Tony out of there, I don't think Poirier's going to.
Gaethje did get him out of there, but in the 5th. But I hear you. It would only be 3 rounds.
He didn't knock him out.
Oh, yeah. And it was in the 5th, and this would only be 3.
Well, he did not knock Tony out.
Right. That's true.
So it would be the first time Tony would get knocked out. And while Dustin's a great accumulation striker and has good pace, he's not that one-shot KO type striker.
I agree. And really quick, just shout out to Adam for asking the fun question. I feel like sometimes people are, I might be wrong here, sometimes I feel like people are scared to ask questions that they think might hurt my feelings. Guys, I have armor, I have a skin made of armor, made of steel. Please ask me whatever. I think these questions are really fun. So I wish people were a little harder on me, but I may regret this later. That's it.
You hear that, people? Be harder on Phil.
I know. I'm going to really regret saying that, aren't I? I am really going to regret that one.
All right. We got a couple radio questions or
listener questions. Listener questions. We do indeed. Okay, so this first one is going to come from Jim Assoon, the man, the myth, the legend, and I'm playing his just about right now.
What's going on, you bunch of fucking casuals? Phil, Fight Geek, hope you're both doing well. My question for you this week is, just dropped that Bryce Mitchell is fighting Andre Touchy-Feely. Be an interesting scrap. Who do you think wins that one? I think it said October something. I can't remember offhand. But anyways, that's my question for you this week. And it's always 420, kids. Peace.
That's actually a great matchup. I really like that fight. Is that going to be on the Gaethje Khabib card?
I'm not sure. This has all of these fights were made an hour or maybe 2 before.
Well, I love that Touchy-Feely versus Bryce Mitchell fight.
I think it's 3 rounds. I think it's 3.
Yeah, for sure.
I got Bryce,
obviously,
man.
I
got Bryce.
Touchy-Feely's going to be better on the feet. Obviously, Mitchell wants to get it to the ground and control there. I'd actually lean Touchy-Feely via decision.
We are disagreeing more than ever tonight. No, I got Bryce.
Well, I mean, I reserve the right to change my
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Between
no,
now
you don't.
and October, but Yeah, I think that's
guys.
a good
He doesn't
matchup
have the
for
right. Guys,
Touchy-Feely.
remember this. He
I
doesn't have
think
the right. He doesn't
Touchy-Feely
have the
will be
right.
the bigger guy in that matchup.
Who is?
I think Touchy-Feely will be the bigger guy in that matchup, which will help him get off the bottom and not be, ground into oblivion by, Bryce Mitchell, which is kind of his style.
Every time, I know, but this is just what I think about with Bryce Mitchell. I think every time he gets into a tough situation, what are you going to be able to do to scare him more than him slipping and falling with an electric drill in his pants and drilling his balls into oblivion?
I mean, his pain.
I'm being serious here, Fight Geek. What the hell are you going to say to scare this man?
His pain tolerance and will is certainly legendary.
He'll be like, "Oh, you're ground and pounding me? Like, remember the time I took a drill to my dick?"
All right, we just.
Okay, sorry, Mom. My mom listens. Sorry, Mom.
All right, you got that other.
By the way, my mom texts me every week and like 3 days after we release because she doesn't listen to it live or even close, which is fine because she's busy. But she'll be like, "Oh wow, you said blah blah blah." So I can only imagine what she says when I mention the drill. Chopping up the balls of Bryce Mitchell. Oh, gosh. Mom, I'm so sorry.
I mean, it will forever be a part of Bryce's story.
And it will forever be a part of my Thanksgiving dinners now.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I know. Kind of weird there. Okay, so moving on. We have another audio question from my man, Juice Jackson from Fighting With Myself podcast. I love Juice. What a great guy. Here is his question.
Frankie, I caught the Frankie.
Oh, no, it's not my question. Wow, that was awkward. I really have to work my
What
DJ.
are you doing over there?
Dude, just relax. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, please.
Thanks.
For the question, not some B-roll.
Thanks, bro.
Hey, yo, Phil. Hey, yo, Fight Geek. This is Juice from the Fighting With Myself podcast. And I've got a question about Fight Circus. You may have missed it. There was an event called Fight Circus put on by a promotion called Full Metal Dojo that was hosted by Cam Soda, a notable cam girls site, if you will. And they've hosted another event before, but they wanted to get back into MMA. So they linked up with this promotion called Full Metal Dojo, and they put on some, quite frankly, circus fights, hence the name Fight Circus. One of those was 2 male 115-pounders fighting 1 middleweight, an 85-pounder. So I want to know, who would you like to see, which 2 flyweights, I don't know of any male strawweights in MMA, which male flyweights would you like to see take on which middleweight? Get at me, fellas.
Great question. Fight Circus. Yeah, I kept one eye on it.
Dude, it was so interesting.
When you're married, it's hard to go from the UFC to the Fight Circus card right afterwards. But I tried to pay attention. It looked absolutely absurd.
But give them this, really quick. Give them this, Fight Geek. In a day and age when it is so hard to differentiate yourself in the combat sports market, I think they've done a hell of a job.
Sure. I mean, if you're into smut MMA, sure, they found a niche.
I mean, how else are you going to differentiate yourself these days? Look, it's not a bad creative idea. I saw it and I was jealous that I hadn't thought of it, frankly.
Well, with that being said, how about Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno versus Costa?
Ooh. I love it. See, right there, I'm like, oh, let's see it. See, okay, by the way,
I feel like Costa knocks them both out in the first.
That's so interesting you say that, because I was just about to say almost the opposite.
Well, imagine them both catching a big shot. There's no way they'd be able to take that.
So, in Fight Circus with the 2-on-1.
Well, unless one of them comes up in the front, squares off, and the other guy jumps for like a rear naked choke.
Well, what happened in Fight Circus on the 2-on-1 is one of the dudes kind of went for it, and he started getting a guillotine.
Let's not act like the Fight Circus guys are the
No, but he started getting guillotined really bad, right? But then the other dude was just teeing off on the guy. So that caused problems. So it's like, I do think...
But would a 125-pound guy be able to guillotine Costa, or would he just pick him up and throw him across the cage?
Oh, no. I'm saying the heavy guy was guillotining the light guy. But then
so
the other light guy was teeing off. And the light guys ended up, well, I believe they actually ended up losing. Then this is how ridiculous Fight Circus got, and this is why I love it. Were they
wearing like jeans?
No. You've got to check it out. They go to Full Metal Dojo on Twitter. Everyone.
I know. I was checking it out.
Yeah, but no. For the record, I think I believe what happened. I have to rewatch it. I'll be honest. I had a few beers before this. I believe the two guys lost, and then they demanded an immediate rematch, like right there, right then. And then the ref asked the other guy, "Do you agree?" He said yes, and they went at it again.
Sounds exciting.
So anyways, Fight Circus, very weird, perfect name, and as someone who I consider myself a creative, I love it. I love it.
Would you take Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling versus Francis Ngannou?
Ngannou.
Okay.
That one's easy. That one doesn't keep me up. That's
easy.
Ngannou.
That one's easy.
Ngannou inside of two punches. How about that one? Left, right.
Well, what about
left, right? The fight's over.
What if you put Conor and Gaethje versus Ngannou?
I'd pay how much money you charge, and I'm paying it.
Right.
That fight, I'm watching that fight. I'm watching that fight.
No doubt. All right, can we end the show?
Yeah. Can you not sound so? You're supposed to be having fun with us, Fight Geek.
I am having fun.
We all have fun.
But I gotta eat dinner at some time.
All right. Fight Geek needs dinner, guys. Okay. All right. So with that, really, really quickly, guys, because Fight Geek, you don't say it. You need to work on saying it at the end. Guys, if you could subscribe on YouTube or iTunes, give us that nice little 5-star review. Man, does it help us. I know some of you from last week did do that, and it did not go unnoticed. It really helps us. Thank you so much. Again, if you could subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, wherever you listen, give us that quick 5-star review. It makes a huge difference to us and helps us to continue. With that, I've spoken enough. Fight Geek, please take us away.
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. It's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.